success that we have seen in the work that you do. And since I usually do not lie, and I'm not very good at PR, I always say things as they are. I'm very grateful to the board for the work that you've done. Mr. Chairman, I want you to know that I am personally very satisfied with this board, very satisfied with the work that you do. I'm actually really delighted with the levels of competence in the board. We are a very competent board, and a lot of good things are happening. I am sure I cannot say the same about many organizations, around, even in my own ministry. But I'm grateful for the work that you have done as a board and how you have managed this institution. There's less drama and more work, which is what we all want to see. Because in a country where people spend a lot of time on useless things, instead of focusing on the things that we must do for our children and things that we must do for our country. And that's why I'm grateful, and the whole team of my colleagues who are here from the ministry understand this. My good friend Joanne from KICD, my friend Njoroge from Semastea, every one of you, you understand that we have a job to do for our children, and let's get the work done as we move forward. I'm grateful that you have achieved this, and Charles, thank you very much for the support of the Kenya Bureau of Standards. And I sincerely would like to urge both Kenya Literature Bureau and all of our organizations that let us develop a very strong, practical, institutional relationship with the Kenya Bureau of Standards. These good people are doing good stuff for our country. We must measure up to the standards of others. We are not competing against ourselves. We are competing against the rest of the world. So every time we wake up, we must work hard and ensure that we measure up to the expectations of others in our sector. We shouldn't look so much at our village, how well we are doing ourselves in our village. Our village is not as important now as the world. We are competing out there with everyone. And I agree with what the MD of Kenya Bureau of Standards has said. We must always keep an eye on global standards and how that affects us and what we are going to do. I'll talk about two other things before we leave. One, what we are doing with Kenya Literature Bureau, and as the PS said, KLB is going to be important, especially in the context of the new curriculum that we are developing. We are developing new learning materials. And capacities such as we have in KLB and the rest of the publishing sector in the country is going to be important in assisting us to develop the learning materials that we need. Therefore, my colleagues who are here from the publishing industry, across the board, we're not focusing on KLB because it is state-owned. We are also interested in your success, and we are interested in the success of your business. We will work together to ensure that we scale the heights and we do well. And we will be open and transparent in the manner in which we do these things. The era when people did things in corners and so on is long gone. Let's just be honest people who do straightforward stuff and move on to support our country. Because we are blessed to have a great country such as we do, and the least we can do as citizens of this country is serve it with dedication, commitment, and integrity, so that we deliver on the tasks that we've been given as a country. So I'm very grateful, and I want to assure all the stakeholders in the country that we are marching on with the new curriculum. Our friends at KICD have done a fantastic job. The process has been consultative as it can ever be. Of course, we have our own newly acquired disease in Kenya, this issue of consultation, because everyone thinks we should consult until the cows come home. I mean, I don't know when we will actually get to do the work, because it's consultation. You know how we waste time. Frankly, let me say this. We just have to be serious about the things we do. This nonsense that we have acquired in society, where we go for seminars, go for benchmarking trips, and so on and so forth, silly things where we waste money on things that we can actually discuss around the table. We can get researchers. We have Kenyans who have studied these things. We go out there, we call in experts, we have a conversation. We can have consultations for a whole week, 2 weeks, 3 months. And then we start getting into planes and flying all around the world. We go to India, to Korea, to wherever, in what we describe as benchmarking things. You know, that's how we waste money. That is how we have underdeveloped ourselves. We have insisted on things that don't help us. We will be straightforward and do the work we are supposed to do. We've worked very well. We formed a national team that was working on this, that brought everybody in the education sector on board. Everybody, and I mean everybody, including the unions. They started throughout with us for the last 1 year. We have been working with them. So when I hear people saying, oh, we have not been consulted, I don't know what else they mean that needs to be done. But it's okay. Wait for consultations. Let us get work done. So as far as I'm concerned, yeah, we'll get some work done as you sit under a tree and go to hotels and so on for consultations. We've got some work to do. And that work is serving our children. The lives of our children are not waiting for us. You know, I don't know whether you guys get this. The lives of our children are not waiting for us. The world is not waiting for us. We are competing against the world. Go down here to Rwanda and see what they're trying to do. Look across the board. Look at the new innovations going on in Egypt and how they are reforming their curriculum. Those are the people we are competing against. Then you want us to sit under a tree. We meet here today in Nairobi, next week in Mombasa. Then we go, I don't know where. Then we go to Kisumu. We are just spending time in hotels instead of getting some work done in the process. We've done what we needed to do. We are fine. Let's get going. So I'm saying, let's get some work done. And as we go along, everyone is on board and we'll do what we must do. Secondly, and most importantly for all of us and for KLB, let me say this for the avoidance of doubt. We will not go back on the new textbook policy. We will not. If you are hoping that we will go back, please get it from me. We will not go back. We're not going back. If you are unhappy, as I said last time when I met the booksellers who are aggrieved, I'll be delighted to meet you in court, and then we can deal with each other there. Because you see, what's happening is very clear. I have been to schools without number in this country. I've walked into classrooms where I ask, in some cases I'm with the peers, in some cases I'm with the directors from the ministry, where I ask a question. I was in a school in Eastern Province, chemistry class, 46 students in the class. I asked them, how many of you have got the textbook? 2 textbooks, 2. Tell me, you are educators, how do you hope those children are going to pass? And yet there is a direct relationship between learning outcomes and access to instructional material. And in the case of Kenya, let me say this for the avoidance of doubt. We don't have a shortage of resources in the education sector. We have been given money. We pumped in over 300 billion to the free primary education and free secondary education sector since the program started. By now, there is no good reason, or as President Kibaki would put it, there is no good earthly reason why we don't have a one-to-one ratio in our schools. And there is evidence. I can tell you this, my brothers and sisters. There is evidence. When you go to some of these national schools where principals have been faithfully buying books, they don't know what to do with the books. They have so many books. Many of these schools achieved the one-to-one ratio a long time ago. So I go to schools. If I go to school A and find that every student in that school has got a textbook, what is the explanation for a different situation in school B? Other than corruption, theft, conniving, and collusion between those middlemen and the principals and so on who are involved. We will not put the lives of our children in the hands of quangles, profiteers, thieves, and all that. We are responsible people. As parents, God has given us children as gifts so that we raise them up. We cannot be given resources by the exchequer and then we now get somewhere in the middle and engage in conversations with people whom we want. But we have changed our ours, our way of engagement as government. And we are not going back. I need to say this for the avoidance of doubt. If anyone thinks we are going to change this, please, this is your 2017 message. We are not going back. We want books in the hands of our children in school. That is how they are going to learn. That's how it will affect the learning outcomes. That's how we will know that learning is actually happening. So when the Form 1s report to school on 9th of January, my good friends are working here, and I'm so happy. KLB, I love you with all my heart, because I am so happy to hear that you are saying there's no Christmas this time. Wakati wa kazi, my friend. Let's get some work done. Christmas to mandazi tutakula siku ingine. Let us get some work done. No Christmas. We make sure that we have the books ready for schools by the time the Form 1s are reporting on 9th of January. That is how countries are built. All those countries we admire, we keep talking about that doing well in the North, in Southeast Asia. They just didn't happen. People made sacrifices, and people demonstrated commitment and love for their country. They made sure that the resources they had went to the right direction. We in Kenya should be grateful and thankful to God. The resources we have should go to the right direction. Every shilling we are given in the Ministry of Education should go to the child, the Kenyan child. You know, we can't be adults who steal wealth from our children. You know, we are making money, we are taking it away from our children. That is not responsible behavior. So I am happy that you guys have suspended your Christmas. You know, in the education sector, we are used to sacrifices recently. I've been waking up at 3 a.m. in the morning to go to containers, to look at exams, and all around weekend and all that, making sure that everything goes right. Because somebody must make a sacrifice, my friends. It's not going to happen on its own. We must make a sacrifice. And everyone makes a sacrifice. Our president makes sacrifices. Spends long hours looking after so much business for the country. So it's time for us also to make sacrifices. And KLB, I'm grateful that you have agreed to make the sacrifices that you must make. Lastly, I assure you, on behalf of my colleagues from the ministry, we will continue to support you. Whatever you need us to do, we will continue to support you. Yes, as Victor said, I heard the stories and other publishers were thinking, because we, as government, we own two publishers. We own KLB and we own Jomo Kenyatta Foundation. And everyone was asking us questions about accountability and competition and whether or not we are going to open this up. And we said we have no problem with competition because we know our capacity. We know what we are capable of. And we are ready to compete today, tomorrow, and any other time. Bring it on. And you see, we don't have a problem. We still do well. So my good friends, this is the right stuff that we need to do for our country. I'm grateful that this is happening. I've seen some of the Form 1 books. I'm very excited. I've seen the thousands of the Form 1 textbooks that are ready. And my joy will be on 9th in the morning when every Form 1 child reports to school. They sign in and they get 6 textbooks of the core subjects each. And they go to class to study, so that we avoid situations like the ones we have seen in schools before with my brother Kipsang, where we turn up and we find a teacher in class, he has got a copy and one student has a copy. And that's a school where we have been sending money to every year to buy books. So let us be good people. You teach, we will bring you the books. And that's a very good arrangement. Yeah, we will bring the books to you, and then teach our children. You see, it's very easy. Because since it's looking like it's a problem for you to buy the books, let us take that burden from you. We know where to get the books. We know where KLB is. We know where Oxford is. We know where Moran is, where East African Educational Publishers. We know where these publishers are. We'll go there ourselves, get the books for you, bring them to school. So that then our children, so that then our children don't have a situation where, like we've had before, they don't have books and so on, and we expect them to pass. How are they going to pass? Because I can talk about this until the cows come home. I'll talk about it another time. Education is supposed to be an equalizer. We are supposed to deal with some of the challenges we have of marginalization in our country, through education. You know, good people, when you see people shooting their mouths around here about some of these policy things we are saying and criticizing them, parroting this, parroting the other one, they are not deep thinkers. They don't think very deeply about some of these things. Because each one of us who are seated here around the table here, we are here first of all by the grace of God, and secondly because we went to school. It's a fact. Someone gave us an opportunity. Why are we denying our children the opportunity? So if I have books in Alliance, I want books in a school in Kirinyaga, I want books in Mandera, I want books in Turkana, I want books in Lamu. Because that child who's going to Lamu Secondary School should have the same textbook the Form 1 student in Alliance has got in their hands. Then you are beginning to deal with marginalization. You can't have a situation where the national schools, because the principals there work hard, they buy the books. You go to Nairobi school, they have so many books, they have achieved a 1-to-1 ratio, but Mpeketoni girls doesn't have books. So how do you hope that child from Mpeketoni will finally compete with the one from Kenya High? And yet we want to give them equal opportunities. The teachers who are teaching there were trained in the same class at Kenyatta University or in the same class at Moi University. The challenges now come in the facilities we have availed to them. These ones at Kenya High, we will give them all the books. The principal there maybe is responsible. The board is working on. Everyone is buying a book. We go there, the book pupil ratio is 1-to-1. In Mpeketoni is a different story. Or in some other school in Lamu is a different story. Or in Taita Taveta. So the best way to deal with this is make sure that the instructional materials get to all schools in an equal measure. The teachers were trained in the same place. We want to reduce this marginalization. And as I said when we were doing Form 1 selection, our new policy, and you'll see when the government rolls this out, our new focus on county and sub-county schools is a game changer. Completely. Because in addition to the books available, we now start putting in resources to actually build the facilities that are not there. So that in our new infrastructure or grants, we go to the county schools and have the laboratories there. You know, so that there is a biology lab there, there's a chemistry lab there, same as there is a biology lab and chemistry lab at Mangu High School. That way, then you are beginning to move towards dealing with marginalization in the education sector. This is what we need to understand. We're not doing these things for fun. And when you see people shooting their mouths around, it's because they don't think deeply about these things. We have lived it this way for a long time. We have affected our children, and we want to continue doing it that way because status quo is good for us. What about our children? Status quo is good for you, but what about our children? Are you thinking about our children? Are you thinking about our parents? And then we ask parents every other time, oh, book harvest, bring us books. Book harvest everywhere. Bring us books, which you don't account for. We don't have a system of accountability. There is no standardization. You can as well receive all those books when they are brought during the book harvest, take them to the local bookshop and get money back. Then next year have another book harvest. We're placing burdens on parents and therefore making education expensive and inaccessible. So I want someone to face us as government with an argument, not with pettiness, with an argument, and say why what we are doing is not right. And you will see for yourselves. Slowly, in another year or 2 years, you will begin to see the evidence of this policy. You will begin to see the impact of it in the learning outcomes, in the performance of our children in schools, as it were. So, my brothers and sisters, we have an opportunity to serve our country, to serve our people, to raise our children irresponsibly. Let us do it. And let's not think about ourselves, what is comfortable for us. Let's think about our children. That's what matters. And I'm grateful that we're walking in that direction. We will continue to support you. And KLB, you are our champions. I am very proud of you. You are our champions in this matter. And let's drive that direction. Please remain focused. Let's get the work done for the sake of our children and for the sake of our country. God bless you. Now, we have an important assignment here. Hey, come along.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Waziri. Kwa sasa tuko tayari kudua kamusi ambazo tumejitayarisha nazo leo. Ningependa kuomba kwenye jukwaa